Hey everyone, in this video we are going to take a look at two of the main pillars of object-oriented programming in general. These are encapsulation and abstraction. We will also see how we can hide data from outside our classes. Object of one class doesn't need to know the implementation of other classes. They can still work with each other through a common interface. For example, in real life, for doctor and patient interaction, patient only knows how to visit a doctor, and doctors ask questions and prescribes medicine to this patient. The patient doesn't need to know about how doctor organize the information and prescribe the medications. All he needs is a prescription. If we had to know the details of each and every objects, it would be very difficult to program and understand all the complex objects that make up the complete system. These kinds of functionalities can be modeled in programming using data hiding. In simple terms, you would just hide the data attributes from outside the class and only provide methods to perform certain actions. Data hiding can be achieved using two main components, encapsulation and abstraction. Encapsulation refers to binding data and methods to modify those data together into a single building block, for example classes. It is used to hide the state and representation of an object from outside world. For this, the ideal practice is to declare all the variables of a class as private members. This will restrict direct access by any other code outside this class. To access and modify these private members, we can implement methods inside the class. These are usually called getter and setter methods in object-oriented world. Getter method allows reading a property value and setter method allows modifying a property. This is very beneficial. First, this helps hide the properties, so we can also implement custom logic while setting or getting a property, like we can validate the data before setting that value on an object. We have already seen this when we define classes. We encapsulate data in the form of class attributes and behavior in the form of class methods. Let's create a class user. This class will be used to store user information. In this case, we will only store username and password, but you can store any other information like email address, birth date, and many other attributes. Let's initialize these two attributes inside our render init method, def init, and we pass self, username, and password as arguments. Here I write self.username equals username and self.password equals password. We can define a method play, and inside the body let's simply print playing games. Let's create one more method, describe, and this method simply returns person's username like this. Return format a string, hello, I am self.username. So here we have encapsulated the functionalities related to user in one data structure, user class. It includes data and behavior for a user. If all it could do is to store the data, then it would be of no use. If I remove these methods from this class body, then it would be pretty much like a dictionary. Having data in the form of object attributes and behavior in the form of methods help us mimic real-world objects in computer programs. It would be very easy to organize our code. In object-oriented programming, we can organize different methods in their relevant classes as we do in real world. For example, teacher's job is to teach. So teach method will belong to a teacher class. Similarly, students just study. So study method will be a part of student class. We don't have to remember where teach method may be located. As long as we have a teacher object, we can call teach method from that object. Now let's create a new user. User equals user with username abc123 and password of secret. Now I can call describe on this object and it will print this user's username. We don't need to know about how this describe method is implemented. The same thing we have seen even with built-in classes. If we have a numbers list with elements 5, 3, 7, 1 and 2, we can call numbers.index of 7. We don't need to know how index method is implemented. That information is abstracted away from us. We just know that there is an index method to get index of an element. We hide away the information that is unnecessary and only give access to those information that user needs to know. The same thing we have seen in real life. When we use laptop, we don't need to understand how laptop is created. We just need to know how to use it. This is called abstraction. Let's remove this numbers list. Down here, if I modify the username of this user to unknown, now if I try calling user.describe method, we can see that this user's name has been modified. This is not good. Anyone can modify the username of this user. Similarly, anyone can modify the password of this user. To avoid this, we should not provide access to these attributes to external code. We can make these attributes private. For other languages like Java, they have a keyword private that is used to restrict the access to these attributes outside of the class. In Python, we don't have truly private variables. The best we can do is we can make them not accessible directly. I can add double underscores before this attribute username. This is a convention in Python community to make them private. Now I have to modify the describe method to reflect new attribute name by adding double underscores here. If I try to print user dot, you can see that I don't have access to username attribute. I do have password still accessible. Also, if I look for double underscore username, that's also not accessible. Let's comment out this username assignment and describe method call, and let's try printing user.double underscore username. Let's run this code and we get error saying that user object has no attribute double underscore username. If I uncomment this describe call and try running it, you can see that we still get access to this double underscore username. So it is accessible inside the class methods, but not accessible outside the class. So nobody can modify this attribute directly. Similarly, we can also declare any method as private by prefixing them with double underscores. If I prefix double underscores to our play method, and now if I try to print it here, you can see that I no longer have access to this method. Unlike Java, in Python we don't have true private members. We can work around this and still access these private members. However, This is just a convention, so whenever you see any attribute with double underscores, those are meant to be private and you should not touch them directly. Let's see how you can access them. Every object in Python has __ dict attribute. If I try to print this, you can see that it has _user, _username key, which has this value. So Python renames these double underscore attributes by prefixing them with underscore class name. Now I can access it as user dot underscore class name and double underscore username. Now if I run, I get back the value we assigned here. We could also modify this using this dictionary key, but it doesn't allow the direct access to this attribute directly. So in this video, we looked at encapsulation and abstraction to hide data from outside our object. We also looked at how we can create private members. I hope this video was informative for you. Thank you so much for watching it. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. In the next video, we will take a look at property variables. So I'll see you in the next video.